Marathon is launching in March of 2026 and will cost $40 US. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to say $40 is about as high as they could go.
Yep, I think that's about the upper bound here. That's the ceiling for Bungie, but they hit it, so I don't know. I largely feel okay with that. I just wish I could have been in the room where people were pounding on the table and saying, I will kill you if this game is less expensive than $60. But we got the revelation. We got the news. A new 22-minute Vidoc from Bungie revealed those key details plus a few more. Emphasis on the few. It's nice and all, but man, I can't help but be very scared about what kind of shape the game would have been in and how much they would have charged if they had stuck to their original September 23rd launch date.
That's a really good question. I, for some reason, assumed that it would be cheaper, but I don't know why I think that. Because it's such a disaster, or was a disaster back then. So maybe, who knows? Maybe now that they think that it's polished, they're like, well, we could charge $40. I don't know.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't like thinking about it, but you could be right. So yeah, we've been waiting for some info, and now we've got it, which is specifically we have some info. Despite launching in 3 months, Marathon still has no exact release date. March 2026 is all we've got. And we kind of already knew that with the way fiscal year shook out. But hey, they said it, so that's good.
That's a good point. And we have a price. It's $40 US, as much as Arc Raiders when that was released. And we have a slightly better understanding of what the game will offer and how it'll play. Lawrence watched the entire Vidoc, took copious notes, and here they are.
Yeah, there's some good info in there. And I'm intrigued. So I went a little deep on this. So Marathon's going to ship with 4 zones, 4 maps, basically. You're starting with Perimeter. That's the starting zone, the tutorial zone. They describe it as more spread out and straightforward, but they made sure to reiterate that you will die a lot anyway. This is supposed to be a dangerous game in a dangerous setting. So yeah, it's training wheels, but they're still going to kill you a lot.
All right, and then also there's Dire Marsh. That contains the Anomaly, a weird alien entity that erupts out of the ground.
It makes rocks suspend in the air, so it's all magical and mysterious. Ooh.
Of course, zero gravity. It has to be in every video game, zero gravity.
And then you got the Outpost. This is a full-functioning UESC facility. So lots of big, stompy alien robots and close quarters encounters with other players.
And then Cryo Archive, that's on board the Marathon. Is that a ship, Lawrence? I didn't even know that the Marathon was a ship. I played the game a long time ago. This is the end game zone, so you get the best loot and the most illuminating lore revelations in Cryo Archive, in addition to encountering the most kitted out players, which I'm sure you'll see many, many times before you get shot in the head.
Oh, yeah. So each map is supposed to have different weather patterns and map events, which is pretty neat. They didn't say a whole lot about what those map events are going to be, but the Vidoc did show this big UFO pyramid thing sort of unfolding in 3D space and then shooting this big-ass pink beam down. So that's neat. I don't know. Maybe you shoot it to death? Just a thought.
We also know a tiny bit more about Marathon's setting. The Marathon was a colonization ship sent from Earth to Tau Ceti, from which Earth received a mysterious alien signal.
Ooh, yes. Ooh, mysterious alien pulses. We're so hot about that right now, Pluribus and all. That mysterious alien signal kicked off this corporate space race as greedy and corrupt corporations fought each other to reach Tau Ceti first and stake a claim over whatever alien goodies might be there.
But unfortunately, something went wrong.
Oh no. Yeah, this is one of my favorite quotes. Quote, something catastrophic happened. So deep lore beats from Bungie there. They're trying to be mysterious about it. That's Bungie's way, you know. So now something catastrophic has happened. Now we have all these greedy and corrupt corporate factions. They're trying to recoup their investment into this voyage to Tau Ceti and also understand what happened in the first place.
Sounds a little bit like Alien Earth in some cases. So like Weyland-Yutani and all that other garbage. So you play as a runner, a mercenary in a synthetic body that's sent out to investigate and scavenge the alien landscape.
Mm-hmm. Yep, your body's disposable. Your consciousness just gets yanked back up, put in another body, etc. This is a fun little beat. They mentioned this. You can see the Marathon. You can see the colony ship when you look up. So you can just see the little guy floating up there. That's a neat little touch.
The video runs down the various factions. You got the UESC, the stompy, boxy robot guys.
The next faction are the Traxxas. These are sort of the luxurious Egyptian god-looking cyber dudes with long arms and cool accents and cyber mastiffs and whatnot.
And then the Arachne, a death cult that will give you PvP challenges, and I assume maybe have some spider-like qualities.
Yeah, maybe. We've also got the Maida. They're like punks. They have like cool black face paint and they like explosions and corporate espionage. They're all Jokerized. They just want to see the world burn, I guess.
Each faction has an upgrade tree that grants access to better gear, stat upgrades for the rest of the season. So that I feel like if you play video games, you sort of understand what that means. You spec into one of those factions, and then you get to pick the cool gear that Arachne has, or that sort of thing. Or they got a really awesome perk that you could use that you're like, that would be perfect for my playstyle.
Yep, exactly. And that kind of dovetails into the actual gameplay beats, which the way they describe it sound pretty similar to other extraction shooters. You'll have periods of low tension exploration where you're just rifling through stuff and picking up bits and bobs. You might hear distant gunfire or PvE enemies in the distance that you either want to engage or try to avoid. And then you might get into full-blown encounters either with AI-controlled enemies or with other players. Or you might, ambush players that are already fighting other enemies and things like that. So, it seems like it hews pretty closely to extraction standards when it comes to the actual way that the game is meant to flow.
Yeah, and it'll also have a solo queue, which I know a lot of people have been asking about. You got proximity chat, party matchmaking. So I think that's very similar to Arc Raiders. I don't know that they took that page from Arc Raiders, but I'm sure they saw the way it was playing out with Arc Raiders and went, ooh, all right, we got to make sure we implement that.
Yeah, with that and a couple of other things that we'll get to in a minute, it seems like there are some bits they worked on to try to make the game seem approachable. So I appreciate that. And yeah, doing solo queue is just one of the things as opposed to having to match against trios and stuff like that. Another dynamite quote that I felt compelled to pull out. They say, quote, being good at Marathon is like playing poker with guns. It's poker with guns, Bruce. You just add guns to anything and it immediately becomes a great video game.
I mean, they're describing what a video game normally is, which is a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill. That's usually what any game is. If you really want to, obviously there's chess involved. That chess is like all mainly skill, I know. But that's what people are always aiming for when it comes to video games. All right, let's move on to the upgrades, Lawrence. First of all, you can get tons of cyber parts to upgrade your synthetic runner.
Yeah, dropping in little chips and modules and nodes of varying rarity that change your stats. Good stuff. They also say that the guns will be incredibly moddable with, quote, over 400 weapon mods.
Jeez, that's a lot. They drop a hot reference in saying that a gold mod can turn a battery SMG into the Needler.
They can't say that. They're not. They can't. It did look like a Needler, though. Like, it even had the thing where when an enemy got shot a bunch, they exploded. So, yeah, they did it. They did the thing. They also shared a different example of a gold mod, whatever that is. The multiple references to a gold mod. I'm going to guess it's just a rarity thing. But if you use it on a pistol, it adds a suppressor, and then when you kill an enemy with the suppressed pistol, it turns you invisible.
Ooh, okay. So the gold mods are clearly the really, really good mods, the ones that are probably really, really hard to find. They say additional upgrades will, quote, raise the floor of your stats so that you're coming into runs at a higher level. That's pretty standard for extraction shooters.
Yep. They also mentioned that picking up various mods or guns will unlock challenges. So for me, I was kind of watching this doc with an eye for, how do you give players a long-term sense of progression? And this is just one of them. Whatever challenges may unlock, those faction upgrades that we mentioned before, things like that.
And then there's the shells. These are the printed bodies your consciousness is dropped into. These also represent player archetypes in terms of skills. So you got a fighter, a rat-like scavenger, a rat hunter, another rat. There's gonna be a lot of rats.
I don't know. Rat gameplay is fun for me.
Yeah.
Staying out of the limelight, picking up all my trash, and then I go home, and that's it. And then the shells are the things you upgrade with all of your nodules and chips and wires or whatever, just dumping computer parts into your chest cavity until you upgrade. This was kind of neat. They described a particular shell called the Rook, which is sort of the I don't want to risk anything. I want to play like a moron character. It is specifically for solo players, and it drops you into a run that's already in progress. So theoretically, everyone else, they may be in groups, they've already been looting, they're already a little powered up, but you're not risking anything. So you can kind of come in as this agent of chaos and potentially still escape with like goodies or something like that. So I think that, plus the solo queue from before, those are both good. Like, I'm curious about Marathon, but I'm intimidated by extraction shooters. You can just play Rook and just run around, shoot, steal whatever you can, and still get a feel for the game. So I think that's a great idea.
Yet another page from Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders has the free loadout, and that free loadout is exactly that. I actually seen a lot of people complaining about free loadouts in Arc Raiders recently, because the people that have been building up their stash and going out and hunting, queens and things like that in Arc Raiders, they get killed by somebody with a free loadout, and then that person takes all their stuff and leaves. So who knows? I mean, again, it's like part of the game, and it sounds like, and I feel like it worked for me and Lawrence. Like, I like being able to drop into Arc Raiders and play with a free loadout, not having to worry, and then just leave. But I'm not a diehard, so who knows?
Yeah, I feel like, on some level, you want the game to reinforce whatever value system you're trying to put in the game, which is that I've invested 500 hours. I shouldn't be killed by somebody who dropped for free. But that's the design, man. That's poker, right? That's the element of chance. That's the risk you take. And without risk, it's just illusion. And if you want that, then you should play a single player game.
That's exactly right. There's new visual effects. They've added more color now. Yay! Hopefully they didn't steal anything else. Dead bodies will visually decay over time, which gives you an indicator how recently someone was killed. So like a fresh body means the killer is likely still around.
Yeah, that's a really fun note. Typically, I guess you had to go by whether or not a body was even looted. But yeah, I guess the synthetic bodies now kind of melt into a puddle of goop. So their degree of melt can kind of tell you in reverse how long ago they were killed.
That's actually really cool. There's also going to be music, of course. You can enjoy some energetically fingered notes, we guess.
That scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. You need to be a little more ominous and brooding, please. Finally, there's going to be a codex. We got audio logs. Who's ready to hear somebody talk breathily into a mic about how everything's going wrong? So that's fun. Maybe a dramatic cutoff right at the end. I'm just spitballing here.
I mean, you're right. That's exactly what it's going to be. You can unlock the usual gaming trinkets like skins, stickers, weapon charms, titles in the codex. So you'll learn, if it's Bungie, they're going to just load you up with lore and you'll never be able to catch up.
Yeah, billion meters. But that means you'll always be unlocking something. And doesn't that make people happy? Yeah, so that's all the sort of reportable news bits and then some that kind of popped out of this ViDoc. I have to admit, it's a bit less of a mystery for now. It's a bit less of a mystery for me now. It was kind of like a big black box. I think for my tastes, the value still feels a little skewed. I think $40 for 4 maps, one of which I'll probably never see. Let's be honest, the endgame one. That feels a little steep, but not intolerably steep. If they were going to charge like $70 for this, that would be a little silly. I think for myself, though, it seems fine. But I think maybe myself and a lot of people expected more than, fine from Bungie. They probably expected over delivery, which is what I think we're used to from studios that have the budgets and the time and the staff to make huge games. This seems like it's an intriguing, aesthetically powerful, but production-wise pretty safe kind of game. And I guess I wouldn't have expected something like that from a studio that needs to earn their spot in this sort of new area. And you typically do that by over-delivering. So it doesn't feel like an over-delivery to me. It feels like maybe a delivery, but at least it feels like that now. And just from my mentality, I'm curious how you feel about this, Bruce, but I wanted to say when Arc Raiders was on the ramp up, that Arc Raiders, it already ate Marathon's lunch. There's no room left because they already put out a great product that everyone is really happy with. But now it's been 6 months or however long it's been, it will have been at least 6 months by then. Maybe, I think I'm projecting a bit here because this is just kind of me talking about how I feel, but I think Arc Raiders did Marathon a bit of a favor in being a very approachable extraction shooter that probably got a lot more people familiar with the game type and more interested in trying it and various iterations of it. Because yeah, I didn't have any interest in Marathon before playing Arc Raiders, but now that I played Arc a bit, now I can go to Marathon and look at it and be like, okay, this makes sense. I can see some of these screens and I can imagine, clicking through them and trying to follow my way down these trees now. Whereas I don't know that I ever would have given it the time of day before having a good time with Arc Raiders. So who knows? I mean, maybe Marathon could have been that game too if it came out first. I don't know. But at least for me, I think it actually kind of blossomed my interest in the genre a little more. So yeah, I went from thinking Arc Raiders had already beaten it to Arc Raiders may have helped it. I don't know. How do you feel?
I absolutely agree. Arc Raiders is a great entry point for a lot of people to play an extraction shooter where they didn't think they could, because extraction shooters are very scary and intimidating, and Arc Raiders is not. It is now. Now that a lot of people have played it for almost 2 months, and it's, now it's like shoot on sight, but it got you into it, and you can sort of understand, like, oh, like you said, the Rook play style, and you go with the free loadout, and you're like, I'm not worried about it, no big deal. I'm gonna say it until I'm blue in the face. When I played Marathon for the 3 hours I played it during that open alpha that everybody hated, I actually really liked it, and I enjoyed the shooting mechanics. I didn't know anything about any other gameplay mechanics, but I enjoyed what Bungie had put out when it came to shooting things, and I feel like that's what they're best at, generally. So I'm excited to see now what they've done with Arc Raiders. I feel like, I don't know if they stole gameplay mechanics from Arc Raiders, but they certainly took a page from them. They certainly watched what worked for them and what didn't, especially on release, and I think that's helping them tremendously. So I will give Bungie credit here. I know all of them were watching Arc Raiders when it released, and I know all of them have been playing it and being like, oh, this works, this doesn't, and I'm sure that's helping them. So you know what? More credit to Arc Raiders, to be honest, because they really innovated this space a lot more than other extraction shooters. And let's hope that Bungie learned a bunch of really good lessons from that.
Yeah, let's hope. I think the biggest question mark in my mind is still just, I don't see... So in the Vidoc, they do a lot of promising of that trademark Bungie feel that you know about, that you're familiar with. You know, the Halo and Destiny run and gun feel, which I agree, they're very good at crafting. I'm not certain that style of gunplay is compatible with an extraction shooter. In both Halo and in Destiny, the setup is that you are the superpowered superhuman in the room. That's not the case in an extraction shooter. It's not allowed to be the case. So how can you have this like fast, powerful feeling run and gun gameplay when you can't just bulldoze your way through all the AI or even the players in front of you? So given that you've played it, how do you feel like those elements interchange?
I mean, I think it played out very similar to Arc Raiders, except that you're more OP, but so is everybody else. And I actually didn't think that that was a problem. And what you're kind of describing is like, like in Halo, you're the superpowered, military man. In Tarkov, it's the opposite. Like you're just a random dude who's gonna walk around and you get shot in the head and you're done, right? Like that's it. That works too. So that works really, really well. And I think if they are able to strike a balance between the two of like the really OP Halo man versus Tarkov man with a knife, I think it'll play out fine. I really do think that there is space for all of those different gameplay mechanics. Because me personally, somebody that's played a good amount of Tarkov, I hated it. I hated when I walk in and be like, okay, I brought my gun, I brought my helmet, I brought my armor, I brought it all. I'm so excited and then I'm dead. I hated that. So and Arc Raiders, you don't get that feel. In Arc Raiders, you still do feel weak compared to the robots that you fight, and other players too. But if I loaded in with the free loadout, who cares? It's like, so what? I died. Let's just reset. So hopefully Marathon will do that.
Yeah, hopefully we can use more video games. Plus, I don't know. I like the way it looks. I could spend some time in that world.
Yeah.
Staring at all the cool cyber shit.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much for watching Inside Games Daily. Hey, if you run into us out there on Tau Ceti, we'd appreciate just a moment of hesitation. You don't have to shoot right away. You can shoot if you want, but just that little hitch, we appreciate that. Some of our viewers have decided to take support one step beyond simply not shooting us when they see us, and that's supporting us via our Patreon. Yes, we have a Patreon, and that means a lot given how money's getting out there. We know it's hard, so thank you very, very much, John Warren Gallardi, Liger Zero Panzer, Jack Willis, Talia Monochrome, and Greylark for doing the bravest thing of all, and that's being a gamer.